You woke up this morning and immediately checked your phone. Maybe you scrolled for a few minutes, maybe longer. You made coffee, got dressed, sat through a commute, stared at a screen for hours, came home exhausted, and did it all again. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a question might have flickered. Is this really what we were made for? But the real answer is far stranger than you think. Because when scientists began reconstructing the actual daily lives of ancient humans, what they found shattered almost every assumption we had made. Start with time. You assume ancient life was brutal and relentless. You picture hunched figures dragging carcasses across frozen plains, barely surviving, never resting. But anthropologist Marshall Salin spent years studying modern hunter-gatherer groups, whose lives most closely mirror those of our Paleolithic ancestors, and what he found stopped researchers cold. These groups worked, on average, between 3 and 5 hours per day to meet all of their survival needs. Salins called them the original affluent society. Not because they had abundance in the material sense, but because they had something modern humans have largely lost: time. Think about that for a moment. 3 to 5 hours, then the day was theirs. So what did they actually do with the rest of it? They talked. This sounds obvious until you realize how central and sophisticated that talking was. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar, whose research on social brain theory reshaped how we understand human evolution, proposed that language itself evolved not primarily to share information about food or danger, but to maintain social bonds in increasingly large groups. Ancient humans talked the way modern primates groom each other. It was bonding. It was politics. It was gossip. Dunbar's research suggests that roughly 2/3 of all human conversation, even today, consists of social information. Who did what to whom, who can be trusted, who broke a rule. Your ancestors were doing exactly the same thing around a fire 60,000 years ago. They also played. This is harder for the modern brain to accept. Play feels like something children do before the real world arrives. But across dozens of studied forager societies, adults played regularly. They wrestled. They invented games. They told stories that blurred into performance, into theatre, into something that was not quite work and not quite rest, but something your nervous system recognizes immediately when you encounter it. Johann Huizinga, the Dutch historian who wrote Homo Ludens in 1938, argued that play was not a byproduct of civilization, but one of its root causes. Humans played their way into culture. Your ancestors were not waiting for leisure to be invented. They already had it. And then there was the making of things. Ancient humans made far more than tools. They made art. The oldest known cave paintings, found at sites like Chauvet in France and Sulawesi in Indonesia, date back 45,000 years or more. That means that for tens of thousands of years before agriculture, before cities, before writing, human beings were crawling deep into the earth and painting animals on stone walls by firelight. They were carving figurines from ivory. They were piercing shells to string as jewelry. None of this had obvious survival value. All of it suggests something profound about what it means to be human. Your ancestors did not wait until they were comfortable to create. They created because something in them demanded it. Now consider the body. Ancient humans moved differently than you do. Not more necessarily, but differently. Evolutionary biologist Daniel Lieberman at Harvard has studied the physical activity patterns of modern forager groups extensively, and his findings complicate the popular image of the ancient human as a constant athlete. Foragers walked between 6 and 16 kilometers a day on average. They sprinted occasionally. They lifted, carried, dug, climbed. But they also sat. They rested in the middle of the day. They napped. The human body was not designed for 8 hours of desk stillness followed by an hour of frantic gym exercise. It was designed for moderate, varied movement woven across an entire waking day, punctuated by genuine rest. That rest mattered enormously. Sleep researcher Jerome Siegel studied sleep patterns among 3 pre-industrial societies in Tanzania, Namibia, and Bolivia, and found something that contradicts almost everything the modern wellness industry tells you. Ancient humans did not sleep 8 hours straight. They typically slept 6 to 7 hours, often in 2 phases. They fell asleep 1 to 3 hours after sunset. They woke briefly in the night. They returned to sleep. That in-between waking state, which historian A. Roger Ekirch documented in his research on pre-industrial sleep, was not insomnia. It was normal. People used it. They prayed. They had sex. They checked on children. They thought.